Well, I get it. I have an office of 180 agents kind of thing. There always has to be at least one extremely badass alpha male, and I think he is definitely in the studio today, Mr. Kris McCullough.
That's me.
That's you, buddy. Greetings, Signature Spotlight Series. This is the bald guy in the red tie, John Butler, your favorite bald-headed, red tie wearing show host, with Miss Susan Ebert, the prettiest broker we've ever had.
Yeah, because I'm the only one you've ever had.
That's right. And the alpha, the badass, the Harley riding, vest wearing, deal slinging, puzzle solving, networking genius, Kris McCullough.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, bud.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Yeah. Well, so we actually had your better half on the show probably about 6 months ago, and she couldn't stop raving about your geniusness. So we thought we'd bring you into the studio today.
She's a liar.
Yeah?
No.
Good. You married good.
I did. Yeah, I got a good one.
She's a good marketer. She's marketing you.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been married to her for a little while.
She accepted your counteroffer, so I don't know.
She's accepted a lot. And I got lucky. I mean, between deployments and everything else, and plus I'm an odd person on occasion. She's really stuck in there with me, so can't complain.
Now talk about dynamic duos.
Yeah.
Because we've had some married couples on the show, and everybody has their own dynamic and stuff like that. But what you two have created, you and Kim, is phenomenal. I mean, you guys, you know, and that's what I want to get into today is kind of how you guys have things structured as far as your personal life, your professional life, because what you guys have accomplished in a relatively short amount of time has been phenomenal.
Cool.
So
I think they've changed real estate.
Yeah.
How it works, the teams,
Not yet.
the dynamics. Well, you're working on it.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Not yet. We're working on it.
One little piece at a time.
Well, I think when it comes to real estate, like if I were to look at like Purple Brick or, I mean, geez, there's so many now, right?
Yeah.
Redfin, it used to only be Redfin. Of course, now Zillow's jumping in there. Everybody's trying to find a way to be disruptive.
Yeah.
And you know, I can respect that. We're in business. Anybody that's in business, you're trying to find a way to actually make more money. That's kind of part of it. And I think we just wanted to be disruptive, but in a different way. We wanted to be disruptive within the system, not by creating a new wheel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By creating a new system.
Yeah.
And I think we really wanted to do it our way, which is a more honest way. I don't want to. I remember we were here. There was a little speaking thing, and everybody's up there, and I got up there, and they started asking questions. Well, how should a real estate agent dress? Everybody starts going down the line, and I'm just shaking my head because I'm like, nobody's going to want to hear what's about to come out of my mouth. I want to do what I want to do because I deeply believe I'm going to connect and attract the individuals that are like me. I want to work with people like me.
Yeah.
And I think part of trying to do that is being more disruptive in the sense of if there's 10 agents over here, and 9 times out of 10 they hear some podcast or they watch some video, and it's like watching a herd of freaking lemmings run to the next shiny object, right? So nobody sits down and masters any of the basics. They say, well, this new thing, I remember, direct mail, everybody's doing direct mail. Oh, now it's cold calling, everybody's doing cold calling. Okay, great. I just sit there and look at them and go, where? Okay, so you're all over there? I'm going that way.
Yeah.
And I just go the complete opposite way. And it's so goofy because it's like, wow, you guys are you're world shaking. It's no different than you line up 10 people. 9 of the 10 are jumping around, wearing, I don't know, flamingo outfits. Okay, there we go. We'll go with flamingo outfits. So we're wearing flamingo outfits and making a wreck of themselves. And then there's another person sitting there, and you got to pick one of them, right? So what is this, sort of like that dating show or whatever? That's so weird to me. The what's the name of that thing? The Bachelor?
Oh, yeah.
The Bachelor? Okay,
Yeah.
so I know a lot of girls that are into The Bachelor. It is that's a disturbing show to me. I don't understand it. I'm like, okay, so let me get this right. In the hashtag Me Too movement, in today's world, somehow this is exciting, condoned, and cheered. It's like, way to go. This guy literally just made out with 3 different girls the same night.
So gross.
Kicked out one of them,
Yeah,
handed
it's
off a
wrong.
rose. Anyways. Okay, so my point is, if the one guy's sitting there, right, and he's just reading a book, minding his own business, who are you looking at? It's not the 9 flamingo people. You're like, what's wrong with that guy? And to me, that's really the core base of being disruptive.
Yeah.
The core base of being disruptive is literally going the opposite direction and attracting attention, ideally genuinely.
Yeah.
Genuinely, which most people won't do.
Right.
Most agents are not genuine. I'll never forget an agent that was trying to join our team. He walks up and he goes, and I think he thought he was being funny, but I'm built funny. And he looks at me and says, oh man, your shoe game's weak. And I looked at him. I says, well, before we sat down for this interview, I looked up your stats, and your bank account's weak. But nice shoes. But again, that's an agent mentality. It's like, oh, I got this Breitling watch. I don't even wear a damn watch. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about your Breitling. I don't work with people that wear Breitling watches.
Yeah.
Now, some of them, I work with a lot of high-end clients. They still don't wear Breitling watches. So I think it's just a different mindset. We're trying to genuinely and honestly help people. You're either starting a chapter, you're ending a chapter, or closing a chapter. And if I genuinely care about people, which I do, and I genuinely want to help somebody, money is a byproduct. Money is a byproduct. It's not something that I'm chasing personally. Money is just something that happens because I happen to be obsessed about selling real estate and helping people in the process.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that. So if that means my shoe game's weak, I mean, these things, I think I even have
I
a
like
hole
your
in them.
shoes. I kind of
Yeah,
like
they
your
got a hole.
shoes.
Well, then great. I got a hole in my shoe. Whatever.
So let's jump into that mindset. Where did that come from? Because you've had a colorful history, been in the Marine Corps, but where did you originally come from? Are you a California guy? Are you from back east?
I'm from, so I was born in Germany. My dad was in the Army. Then we moved from Germany to Florida. Grew up in Florida. And of course, like most people, I was informed of this by my 7-year-old the other day. I guess it's a really big deal. Most kids at 7 know that most people are divorced. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Like that's something that my 7-year-old son mentioned. He thought it was a big deal that me and mommy are still together. But my parents got divorced, so I would kind of go between Texas and Florida, visiting. But I mostly lived in Florida with my dad. My dad was a single father, so he raised me. I didn't respect how hard my dad worked and what he did to get us to the middle class, I guess you could say, lower middle class, until I got a lot older. But, that is what it is. I think when it comes to mindset specific, outside of me growing up there, I ended up moving to California. My dad got remarried to a lady. When I got a little bit older, so I was about 13 when we moved to California. But I don't really consider my life starting in a lot of ways until I joined the Marine Corps. And I think the Marine Corps is really what shaped me, good and bad. A lot of the negative things that happened while I was in the Marine Corps actually created a positive change in my life. It's no different than maybe going to the gym. When you work out, you go home, you're sore, it hurts, but you grow from it. I would even say for a lot of pure people, their spirituality and faith, if it was all roses, you'd never grow. I think through a lot of this, it was no different. I had a conversation with Adam Nagura, he's on our team, the other day, and he's pushing really hard. He wants to be a really strong leader on our team, and there's certain things he's messing up, and he feels really bad about it. I says, look, this is one thing I learned early on in the Marine Corps as a young NCO, so this is a long time ago. Unfortunately, in order to become a strong and amazing leader, people are going to have to suffer.
Gosh, that's such a painful truth.
It's a reality.
Yeah.
People are going to suffer under your leadership if you're obsessed and you genuinely want to be a great leader. They're going to suffer until you figure it out. So buck up.
How old were you when you went in, and how long were you in?
I went in when I was 17. My parents had to sign a waiver. Yeah, so that was, let's see, I'm 42 right now.
Did you grow up knowing that you wanted to go in the Marine Corps, or was it something
No.
like a recruiter got a hold of you?
It wasn't a recruiter thing either. I just was a pig of a kid. And my dad always jokes it didn't really start until 14. I think with, getting remarried, moving to California, we were in an awful neighborhood. I just emotionally fell apart. A lot of things changed in the household. And I just was an angry, unruly, pissed off kid. I definitely wasn't going to college. And I remember I came home. I hadn't seen my dad smile in a while. I sit down at the dinner table, and he's smiling. I'm like, wow, Dad's in a good mood. He says, we need to talk. Sit down. So I sit down, and he starts laying out pamphlets, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. He says the Air Force is probably off the table, so he pulled it back. And I was not an Air Force guy. So he was kind of like, here's saying you're getting ready to graduate. You're not going to college. If you could figure it out and somehow you can get in college, you can stay here, which there was no way in hell I was staying there. And you're not getting a job. So here's kind of your option. What do you want to do? So originally I chose the Army, and I was like, I'm going to go in the Army. I didn't know that I wanted to do it, but I was going to join the Army. I was a musician back then. I had been playing and traveling for years. It was really good, and decided I was going in the Army, and I just don't know what it was. I just didn't feel compelled. I'd show up, I'm doing all the things I had to do, and I'm like, this is just stupid. I can't, like, and I was out skateboarding, going to work. I worked at Godfather's Pizza. I really didn't. I mostly, I was a bad kid. I did other stuff. But I was going on my way to work. I fell off my skateboard and hit like this oil slick, and I got my shirt all dirty. So this Marine Corps recruiter, big dude, I'm actually still friends with him. He walks out, and he's like, man, that was kind of cool. You know, I was trying to do a trick. And he says, man, but your shirt's all messed up. Hold on 1 second. He opens up the back of his trunk, hands me, and I still have it in my closet actually, hands me this Marine Corps shirt. And back then, now we can like change colors of shirts and design and print stuff. Back then, it looked like Ronald McDonald. It was like a McDonald's yellow with a McDonald's red. You know, it wasn't crimson and gold, which is what the color is supposed to be. It was like this really Ronald McDonald looking shirt, but it was freaking great. So we start hanging out. He says, come on in here real quick. And he sits down in his chair. And as you can see, I'm a pretty thin guy. You know, I've always been thin. But not true. I actually was bigger once. And he leaned back in his chair, and the top button of his Charlie's popped right off. He was so freaking big. I'm like, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. I'm going to get big, and I'm going to hook up with a whole bunch of women. Like, that's why I joined the Marine Corps. It was the only reason. Honestly.
Well, it ended up working.
It did. It worked. I mean, not a whole bunch. Don't tell my wife. But no,
well, no, you got at least you got
the hottest one.
Yeah, you got the hottest one. There you go.
Yeah.
Safe way to say that, Susan.
Yeah. Good save.
Yeah.
Good looking out. No, I mean.
And so you're 17, 18 at this point?
17.
And this is in Texas or California?
This is in California.
Okay.
So I was up in Northern California, up in Roseville. I was going to school up there. And I didn't turn 18 until I was in boot camp. I turned 18 at boot camp.
Wow.
So I was there. Yeah, I turned 18 in boot camp. And that was back in, 94, 95, somewhere around there. I have to do the math.
And then so did you take to like a duck to water kind of deal? And
Sure, if ducks can't swim. That was horrible. I was a horrible Marine. And it's so funny because a lot of the guys and also officers and staff NCOs that I worked with back then, I'm still friends with. And we always joke about it. When I was a young Marine, I was horrible. I was everything I never wanted when I was a staff NCO. I never wanted my kind of guy. Like when I'd see him, I'm like, oh, crap.
What does that mean? What'd you do?
Well, okay, so for those that are military, if you're watching this, you're going to know. Within my first 3 years, I had 30-page 11s, 7 conducts on becoming, and an NJP. So it's not good.
What's a
Most
page
people
11?
won't even get a quarter of that in their entire career in 20 years.
Okay, what's a page 11?
It's just formal counseling, formal paperwork is the process to start getting you to the point to NJP, then kick them out of the military.
Oh no!
I was horrible. But the thing was, is like, I think everybody just kind of liked me. I had my own personality, and but it sorted out. I got along, and I think when I hit my 3rd year, going into my 4th year, I decided what I was doing wasn't for me anymore, and I just wanted to go be a Marine. So when I first joined the Marine Corps, I was in the Marine Band. A lot of people don't know that. I was actually a musician. I was in the Marine Band. I did that for 3 years.
What'd you play?
Trumpet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played trumpet.
Can you do taps and stuff?
Not anymore. I don't even know what a trumpet looks like anymore. I quit it. I quit that when I left the Marine Band. Yeah, but I used to. Yeah,
That's
it's kind of part of the
fun.
gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of went. Yeah.
how do you go from the band to basically reconfiguring the whole network for the state of California?
Well,
That's
so
a big. This guy's done a lot in his life.
yeah. Well, in the 90s, if you don't remember, computers started. This is pre-Microsoft. So before Microsoft, computers were like, you almost didn't know anybody that owned one, but if you did, it was like a big deal. It's like, wow, that guy has a computer. I think back then it was like Tandy 1000s if you were really doing it good, right? And I decided I was going to get out of the Marine Band, and I wanted to go into computers. I had a fascination with computers. So I moved into the computer field, and I started learning routing, switching. Back then it was very basic, bridge stuff, and Unix. So it was all, you had to type everything on a black screen and know what's where. Then of course Microsoft came out, so then we had to learn servers, building infrastructures, et cetera. And that's how I got into computers. And then did that for, my entire career in different fashions and variations. Of course, more extensively as I got more into it. But I just kind of got over it. I think when I was retiring, even though I got offered a ton of money, because Kim, I don't know if she mentioned, she used to be the West Coast lead for General Dynamics. She was making like $220,000 a year. I got offered a lot more than that, and I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to do that. I did not want to be around the military. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just wanted to do something completely different. And my
On the
passion,
civilian side of things, you mean?
I don't even know if it's a civilian. I think I gave 20 plus years of my life willingly. You know, I volunteered for it. It's not like somebody made me. We aren't in a Mao regime, if you will, yet. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
But
whole another conversation.
yeah, another conversation. But you know, I think I just knew I didn't want to do that anymore. And I figured my father had mentioned something to me. He says, if you won the lotto tomorrow and you had $300 million in the bank, what would you do for free? And I started thinking about it. And now here's the thing, a lot of people don't know. I started flipping houses when I was in my 20s while I was still in the Marine Corps. And I was like, I just would do real estate full time. And that's kind of what kicked it all off. So I got into real estate and we just went from there.
Interesting. So you're on the whole front line of the whole technology boom and wave of stuff. So that's impressive on its own right. So, but your mindset is very intense, very, like we were talking before the show, you're a puzzle solver. So you like complex problems.
I like creating solutions. Yeah, I like looking at problems and figuring out a solution.
And he's very progressive. It's like, okay, we did that, and now we're going to go do this, and now we're going to go do that. I feel like you're always moving forward, and you're at the forefront of building community and change. I think you're an innovator. That's exciting.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I just don't see the point in sitting still. I don't know. I think a lot of people are really good with that. A lot of people are good with it. They're good with just getting along. And maybe it's because, you know, like I did some combat time between Iraq and Afghanistan. I look at it like I'm here. Like I'm in this zone. Like even tonight, I'm here. I'm physically breathing. I'm moving. I'm shaking. Hell, Kobe just, you know, Kobe Bryant and his daughter. Ouch. You don't know.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, guy, who knows how much money he had. Here's a guy that can do anything he wants. He was younger than I am.
Yeah.
You know, and it's over.
Sad.
It's over. And if anything, it's unfortunate. Most people that have never served in combat can't really wrap their head around, unless they've been through some austere situations in their life, they can't really wrap their head around the truth behind how fragile this is. Extremely fragile. So to me, I don't see, you know, I get criticized. Oh man, you don't sleep, you don't this. I don't wanna. I am obsessed with living right now. And well, don't you want balance? No, I don't believe in balance. I don't believe in balance at all. I want all of it. Yeah. Why can't I have all of it? Yeah. Why do I have to, you know, well, you should slow down, man. You should enjoy, you know, smell the roses. I don't like roses. And I want everything. There's no, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I want to enjoy.
You don't want to miss anything, yeah.
Well, because here's the way I look at it. So, you know, I have my faith, and when I go, that's when I'm gone. I'm moving on to a different place, different space, different plane. When that happens, then I'll live that. But for right now, until then, I want to live my best life right now. I don't want to wait until I'm 50. I don't want to wait until I'm 60. My dad used to say it all the time. My dad, oh, well, when I retire, then I'm going to do this. When I retire, I'm going to do that. When I retire, I'm going to do this. And sure enough, when my dad retired, he found out he has terminal cancer. Yeah. You know, he's terminally ill. He's coming out here, and if he can make the trip, he's coming out in 2 weeks because it'll be the last time my kids get to see him. You know, and it's I'm not living that way. I refuse to. So, you know, I know some people, when I first meet them or I start talking to them, they may get intimidated, and it's not that I'm being mean. I'm just aggressively excited about living my life right now. And I'm obsessed about, it doesn't matter whether it's my family, whether it's taking out the trash, whether it's driving my car, whether it's doing real estate, whether it's talking to agents, whether it's talking to clients, whether it's making out with my wife. I'm obsessed with it.
You're a very in the moment kind of guy.
Why not?
Yeah.
God,
why shouldn't you?
You should be. I just feel
But
like
it's
it's
so
so
easy not to
backwards.
be.
The generation, my mom and dad too, it was when we retire.
Yeah.
No, while we're alive, while we're young, while we can do it. And now that I'm this old, I'm like, we need to do it right now.
Well, I think what it does,
I
it
can't wait till I'm
minimizes.
65.
Yeah. Well, it minimizes stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like when I was driving around, I remember I had this horrible, awful. It was a Geo Metro, I think is what it was.
Oh,
and
dear.
it had, when I hit about 55, it felt like an airplane going into turbulence. It was like the whole damn thing would shake. Looking back now, it's like I wish I would have, knowing what I know now especially, I wish I would have looked at that moment and laughed and said, man, this is freaking hilarious, but you know what? I'm going up. Yeah. Instead, at the time, I'm like, you know, this person has that and that person has that and I don't have anything and shut up. Just shut up. I drive around in my car right now, and here's the thing. I have a great car.
You have a great
But you know what?
car.
We're on the move, man. We're going up. Who knows? I might have, you know, a nice Lincoln. You know, I want the four-door, you know, 1972 Lincoln Continental. I might have.
The boat?
Yeah. Oh, it's a great car. But who knows? I might go out and get a Bentley. Who knows? I don't know. But you know what? I like it right now. I'm grateful. Not many people have grace. Yeah. Not many people can just be grateful for where they are in their life. I'm grateful to our team. I'm grateful to my wife. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for the moments where, like, let's say we don't have any money. You know, I'm grateful for that too. You know, I am. It's like you want to get kicked in the teeth. I remember having to scrounge around when we first started our business, and Kim coming to me and going, she had lost faith. She's like, when are you going to get a normal job? And I looked at her. She didn't hear what she wanted to hear. I looked at her and says, I'll burn it all down. We'll live in the car, or you can move in with your parents. I'm never quitting. And I'm just all in, man. Hey, why not? You know, that's why I don't play poker.
But then they lived happily ever after, too. So all in is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think how many people imagine if they were? Imagine how different this country would be if people were all in with their marriage.
Right? Every single day.
If they were all in with their marriage.
Yeah.
Every day, I'm all in with my marriage. Every single day they wake up and say, you know, even if it's a job you don't like, I'm all in with my job. I'm gonna go all in. I could keep going. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Imagine if you lived all in. Yeah. You know, it's a whole different. Oh man, everything would change.
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't know. Shut up. Go all in. Let's go. The whole country would change.
One of my favorite things that I think it was the very first time that we met. You said something, and I know this is kind of a universal Marine thing, but you said embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
That always stuck out to me. I was like, that's interesting.
It's true.
Embracing the suck.
There's
so
so
many
much
people
that
run
sucks.
away from it.
Yeah. Well, because it's weak bodies in a way. It's like somebody sits there, oh, well, I'm feeling pressure. Get over it. One of my agents actually called me the other day, and she was stressed. You know, she has this client, and she had never done a listing before. I said, I will go with you on your listing. I'll assist you. So here it is. We locked this person up. I told you numbers. I've helped you do the comps. Like, everything's there. I've told you everything. Yeah, but they want to meet again, and I was hoping you could be there. Well, what for?
Yeah.
I've met your clients 2 times. I can't just keep meeting them. So where's your insecurity? What's wrong? Oh, well, you know, I don't know any of the numbers. Why not? Like, they know all the numbers because it came out of my mouth. I gave you all the paperwork. You weren't concerned about remembering the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what else? Well, you know, and wanted a net sheet, and, you know, I don't know how to do a net sheet. Great. Walk down to escrow.
Yep.
Go do a net sheet. But it's almost like when they start feeling that pressure, they get stressed out. So I said, look, you are going to do X, X, and X. I'm not doing it for you. Because it's so easy. People, when they feel the stress and pressure, if somebody else will actually relieve that, it's natural. It's absolutely natural to sit there and say, it's okay, you can do that. We're raised that way as children. It doesn't really change much as adults. If somebody else can do something, it's almost like a crutch. You're literally enabling them to suck at something, whatever that might be. And that's even within relationships. You know, Kim does certain things, I do certain things. And if I was really smarter and I paid more attention, I'd say, you know, how about I do that tonight because she's not feeling good? But not everybody is attuned to it. So finally I say, you do this, this, and this. She's pissed at me.
Oh, gosh, you're just teaching her to fish.
There it
Which
is.
is just the best thing ever.
But sure enough, come around the next day, I said I would be there. I ended up having to be late because I had to go get one of my kids. Well, turns out she thanks me after the fact and said, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have known anything or what I was doing. All it was based upon was an insecurity.
Yeah.
Insecurities.
Yeah.
Also fear, right? Which they both feed each other.
Yeah.
They both feed each other. And in the process, that's what holds individuals back. In a huge way. I think that's what holds everybody
listen
back.
to you sometimes. You hear him like coaching his people, and he is doing that. He's teaching them how to do that themselves and how to lead.
Yeah.
And he pushes them out of the
And
nest.
it's going to suck.
And they can fly though,
Yeah.
because he's already taught them. All they had to do was listen to what he said. It's wonderful. It was the other day, and you were saying something over the cube, and I was like, "This is freaking awesome."
Well,
Not answering the question, teaching them how to get the answer
Yeah,
to the
figure it out.
question. Yeah.
I think a lot of that came from, you know, when I was in the tech field, when I first got in the tech field, that's how I was raised. Hey, you know, how does this router, this and that and the other do that? Oh, it's a fantastic question. what was his name? Rob Rodriguez was his name. Rob Rodriguez, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez. And he says, that's a great question, man. Hold on one second. He'd walk over to it and he'd look in his bookshelf. Here it is, man, right there. And it's just like a book with an open, it's just open. I'm like, great. Where is it in here? Somewhere in those chapters. Go and figure it out.
Oh, that's like me.
Okay.
It's in the RPA.
Yeah, and it is what it is. Why don't you try reading it? Figure it out. But I think,
fails.
but I think that's part of it. I think, so going back to what you were originally saying, embracing the suck. In order for you to progress, you have to embrace certain things that are just going to suck because of insecurities, because of fear, because of sometimes you just aren't physically able to do it. But you know what? Deal with it. Let it wash over you. It's going to suck. I'll never forget it, trying to tell that to Marines when I was taking a platoon out to Afghanistan and just saying, look, the first week, it's just going to suck. The first 2 weeks, just going to suck. Turn off the light switch. Show up. You don't need to be turned on. And embrace the suck, because guess what? After this is when we actually go out to fight. And you got to be pulling triggers. So just embrace the suck, get to where we got to go.
Yeah.
And that's how I live my life. Yeah. I think the more you embrace the suck, the easier it is to actually have more fun and be successful. It just comes faster.
Isn't he just so cool?
There's a lot to unpack there. It's pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh, he's so cool.
Thank you.
So you're in your mid-40s right now?
42. 42. Yeah, I'm still young.
So how long you guys been married?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years, going on 8.
So we had Kim on the show a couple months back, and so she told her side of the story of how you guys met. I want to know if it lines up with yours. So would you mind giving us your version?
Sure. So I had just come back from Tikrit. So I got asked to go outside the wire to pick up. So we were in, I think it was Jalaba, somewhere in Iraq, some real crap hole in Iraq. The bad part is at that time, there was no bases. Unlike now, it's built up there. So back then, when you leave, you're just in combat. You're just fighting because there's nowhere, if you pull over to go to sleep, there's nobody to protect you. There's no gate. There's no berm. There's no nothing. So I was outside the wire for like 3 months, 2 months, somewhere around there. Been out for a little while. I hadn't showered because there's no showers when you're out in the middle of Iraq. Didn't really eat very well. I lost a lot of weight. And I come back and all I wanted was a shower and some hot chow. I've been wearing the same, and plus if you wash your clothes, I don't know if you've ever been out in the wilderness for an extended period of time. When you wash what you have, you kind of put it into a bag with a little bit of water that you have. You don't have much water, unless you can pick up water somewhere or somebody gets you water. There's a ropu that you run into. A ropu's they suck out water out of a lake, or because along the Tigris there's these machines and they iodine or whatever they do, but they make it fresh so you can drink it. And then you stock up and hope you don't run out until the next place you're going to, because we didn't have bottled water back then. So all I wanted was a shower. After the shower, all I wanted to do was eat. I was getting kind of consoled as I came inside the wire by some of the senior Marines, like, hey, when you take a shower, don't smell your clothes, just different things, because it is what it is. So after I get done with all that, I had gotten a shower. No, I hadn't even showered yet. I run into an old buddy of mine, and he was on that base. He's like, man, you got to see this chick. She's hot. And the last thing that was on my mind was looking at a woman. Not that I hadn't thought about it often. It was just, the whole thing was that was not where my head was. I wanted a shower. I wanted to eat. I was so freaking hungry, man. Like, cause if you either had MREs or we would like trade stuff with local Iraqis for like, we'd get a chicken here or a goat there, or ate Impala. Never had an Impala. Don't know if you have.
No.
Up in Tikrit, actually, there was an airfield there. Saddam had an airfield of exotic animals. And I actually have a picture of a bomb blowing up behind me, eating an MRE. Mouth is full of MRE. We took some of our cami netting and we're running it through this lake catching fish. He had a feeder fish pond catching fish so we could freaking eat. And they were out there shooting gazelle because we were starving. So it was actually not bad. I don't know if you ever get a chance. It wasn't Impala, it was gazelle. It was gazelle. Yeah, it was pretty tasty. So I get it while the lion's like, they're yummy. But I don't know if that's a war crime for shooting gazelle. I apologize. It happened. But I don't think it is. But,
So the Blonde Gazelle.
Yeah. So I come back, and just because my buddy is so relentless, he still is, he hasn't changed much. I say, whatever, man, let's go see her. So I go see her, and she was a vision. And I think the hardest part for me is she had walked by, and again, if you've been out in the wilderness for a very extended period of time, there's like this wake of air that people push off of themselves, and you don't really notice it until you have been outside of the world. And I could smell her. Like she walked by, and I could feel the wind of her. I'm like,
so you're the lion that caught the scent of the gazelle.
Yeah, and she was mean, which, is understandable. She still is mean. She hasn't changed much.
Not me.
She is mean.
She's tough.
Whatever. She was mean. So I kind of was like, whatever. Now, what's funny is, we found out years later that we actually have a ton of mutual friends. But she was mean, and I just kind of wrote it off. So that was the first time I met her. The next time I met her was in 29 Palms. I was working on a project, CPOF project. I was starting to build that for the Marine Corps. And she was working on a similar project, but on the civilian side. And I go over to meet this contractor I'm supposed to meet, and it was her. I remember exactly what she was wearing. She was sitting on the bench outside, one of the first, at least there, because it's 29 Palms. She's sitting there with her legs wide open, just hanging out on the bench, and I'm like, damn, a little bit of attitude. I had just got off my motorcycle. I didn't even own a car back then. That's so funny. And we just started talking. She was supposed to just give me a quick overview of this project she's working on, so I could figure out if I can build in what I'm doing with her or not. And we ended up talking about nothing that had to do with the project.
Those are the best.
Yeah, we talked about everything else but CPOF. I remember going back to my shop or my office, and who was it? It was Captain McDonough, and I looked at him, and we sat in the same office, me, the captain, and the major, and the three of us, so 2 officers and me, and I'm like, I just met the girl I'm going to marry.
Aww.
And they all start laughing because, at that time I was a little bit of I liked women,
Playa.
I think Kim's specific word was caveman.
Yeah. Well, so it's in our family, it's actually called the McCullough curse.
Okay.
They call it the McCullough curse, booze and women. It's the McCullough curse. It ruins every McCullough almost. There's only a couple of us that have survived the curse. But yeah, I like girls, and I was like, that's the girl. So at that point, we became good friends. Then we became best friends, and this is years that this went on until I kissed her. I just kissed her. So there's 2 parts. First part is some random night, I'd been drinking, and I was going to the bathroom or something, and we kind of like passed each other, and I just looked at her. I put my hand around her waist, and I just kissed her, and she was kind of like in shock because we'd been friends for so long. And she's like, you've been drinking. And she kind of just like wrote it off. So I left it alone. And then the second time, I don't know if she told this. I don't know if she's going to get mad about it. But
Do tell.
I actually, back then was MySpace. Is it
Yeah.
MySpace?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to call it MySpace to my place. That's where I would hunt. That was my hunting grounds. And so I was, I found this girl who we're actually still friends with now. And went out on a date, and Kim the whole time is just like, oh my gosh, she's falling for it. And, because she'd seen all my tricks. And sure enough, now the thing was, I never allowed a girl to stay the night at my house. Kim was the only one because she was my friend. Women were not allowed to stay. So if anything happened, adults, consensual, they had to leave. When we're done, well, it's 2 a.m. I don't care. Get out.
Caveman.
Yeah. Now I've changed a lot. This is a lot of years. This is a long time ago. Now keep in mind. So I said we've been married 7 years, but we were engaged for 3, and then we dated for 3. So this is a lot of years ago. So after I kicked this girl out, and it was cold, Kim slept on a futon in the front room next to the front door. So when the door was open and it closed, it kind of woke her up. We started drinking some Jameson, and the rest is history. Been together ever since, So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's our love story.
How'd you ask her to marry you? Oh no, so go ahead, John.
Hands down the best hookup story in the studio ever. So.
The thing is, I didn't tell you what happened the next day.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
So the next day, I'm hungover, just ruined, and I'm laying in the bathroom. And the bathroom was it was like a torture dungeon or whatever they call it on the exotic sites. It was not good, and the toilet We used to call it the butt spa because in my house, the cold water was hot water and the hot water was cold water.
Oh, dear.
So when you would flush it, it was boiling, steaming hot water. So if you puked in it, all the hot, boiling puke would come back and hit you, and it'd open your pores, and then it made you puke more. So I'm just laying in there puking. Just this, it's like it's a vicious cycle. Most people just went and puked outside because of the butt spa. And she went and got me Pepto that next morning. We were supposed to go to work. I didn't go to work, and I was the boss. I didn't go to work. And here's the thing. So if you're watching this and we work together, I'm out. I'm retired. So I don't care. So she does that, and the whole day while she's out, I'm like, okay, so was that just like a thing? Are we together? How do I feel about this? Like, it kind of like, it ruined my whole perspective on everything. Cause like I had it all figured out. I'm like, I'm never getting married. I'm going to have fun until I die. You know, I'm going to go out through, a failed liver or something. And no, I just, like by the end of the day, I'm like, I'm all in. When I talked to Kim sometime later, she did the same exact thing all freaking day because we'd been best friends for so long.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, well, is this what we want, or are we good just staying best friends with maybe this every now and again because that was really good, or like where are we going to go from here? So it turns out it's where we went was 2 kids and a family and a business.
Oh, how old are your babies?
7 and 5.
What are their names?
Devin Jameson and Mattis Killian McCullough. Now what's funny is their middle names. We're never telling them this until they graduate or in college. Their middle names are the alcohol that we happen to be drinking when we made them. A lot of people don't know that. So
awesome.
Devin Jameson, we were drinking Jameson the night we made Devin.
Love it.
And the night that we made Mattis, we were drinking Killian's Irish Red.
That is funny.
My son, Jack Margarita Butler, he always wondered where that came from. Kidding. So how did you ask her to marry you?
I was in Afghanistan.
It's a long distance proposal?
Yeah, I did it by email.
Did you really?
Yeah. I just couldn't wait. I was at that point where I thought about it. And, you can't make a ton of phone calls. Where we were, you couldn't make a lot of phone calls. There was no phone. There were certain ways that you could dial out through the phones which was running through the network, or if you had somebody that had a satellite phone, but you couldn't really talk. And I just couldn't wait until I got home. I just was like, you know what? I think what it was is for me, I had asked a huge commitment from her. So I got asked to deploy with this unit, 1st Marines, 2 weeks before they deployed. And Kim and I were living together at that time, but it was still a very fragile kind of moment in our relationship. It could have been very fragile. And I looked at her and I says, hey, I got orders to move to Pendleton. And of course not, and she's like, well, okay, great. When are you leaving? Thinking normally if you get orders, you got a little while, you got 3 to 6 months, and then we could figure out something. I was like, well, technically I'm leaving in 2 weeks, but I'm going straight to Afghanistan. Oh my gosh, excuse me. I'm going straight to Afghanistan. And when I get back, and she's like, well, how long? I was like, well, I'm going to be in Afghanistan for a year. But when I get back, I'll be at Pendleton. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, it's not what, I just, in my mind, this whole game had worked out a totally different way. And I says, no, look, I want you to go with me. I know it's asking a lot. You have a great job here. You have a house here. You have your life here. You've been here for years. I need you to go with me. And she said yes. Aww. So when I was in Afghanistan, I had come back I had been outside the wire for a little bit. I came back and I was sitting at my desk and I sit down to, on my email, and I just couldn't wait until R&R or anything else. And I was like, I love you. This is where I stand. I can't see myself not on this path with you. Will you marry me? And by email, which is so freaking weird. I just get back, 3 letters. Yes. Oh wow, it's so impactful. It was. Yeah.
It was just 1-word response?
Yeah.
Direct, straight to the point.
You poured out your heart and everything. And
yeah,
like,
yeah,
sure.
I put it all out there.
Yeah.
Put it all out there. And then she sent me a video of some crazy horse, Shadow, which we still have. And she's like, oh, by the way, since you're gone, and I'm lonely, I got a free horse. No such thing as a free horse, just so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're expensive.
Yeah, they are. Almost as bad as
Wow.
kids, and like they don't do any chores. Like that's what pisses me off. It's like, take out the trash. Horses won't do it. There's, no, okay, I'll just
can
keep
ride 'em.
paying for you.
That's awesome.
Your love for your children is so evident and obvious
I love my kids.
when I social media stalk you.
Yeah,
Follow you.
we changed our lifestyle a lot recently, so we can spend more time with them. Like one
Yeah.
of my big dreams, maybe because I love Forrest Gump, the movie's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to drop my kids off and pick my kids up.
Yes.
Like that was very important to me.
Yep.
And we changed our entire business model. We downsized our entire life, moved to a specific place right next. Like we did a whole lot just so selfishly, in a lot of ways, I could have that. Kim wants that too, but it was really me that wanted that.
Yeah.
And I love dropping them off. I love picking them up. I cook for them every night, unless I have something else going on. I always cook every night. And we all sit down and have dinner together. Like I guess, again, going back to living in the moment, I've seen so much, I'm going to use a different word. I've experienced so many horrors, right? Horrors overseas.
H-O-R-R.
Yeah, horrors, right? I've experienced so many horrors overseas in combat that I genuinely want to live right now.
Yeah.
So, it's important to me not only to have a business and to make money, but again, going back to the whole concept of I don't believe in balance.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have a balanced life. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I want it all.
Yeah.
Why can't I have a successful business with a successful marriage, with a lot of great friends, with, hobbies that I do on the side, part of organizations, a great freaking dad, drop off kids, pick up kids, I cook, why can't I have it all?
Yeah.
And that's how I'll go to the freaking grave thinking that way. And if I never have it all, that's all right. At least I won't be a schmuck that settled.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's just evident of the relationships that you value. And you can see that in your life. So that's another thing I really admire about you.
Thanks. Appreciate
What do you do to give back?
I do a lot. Actually, when I
really
leave here,
do.
I do a ton of volunteer
you do.
work.
It's just so great.
I do a ton of fundraising. I actually, every day, 6 days a week, I build in, because I live and die by time blocks. I'm a time blocking machine, right? So every day I build in a minimum of 1 hour per day that's doing nothing but actually generating or creating money for charities. It's a big deal to me, and a lot of it, almost everything that I do as far as charities is going to veterans and veterans causes. And it's extremely important to me. There's a lot of people that came home, but they really didn't come home.
Yeah.
They just didn't.
Yeah.
I remember, I think you were here when I went to the funeral in Texas.
Yeah.
He had just come back from
Heartbreaking.
a deployment, and he didn't make it. He came home, but he wasn't here.
Yeah.
So, anything that I can do, and I view it almost, again, coming from a place of service. I want to be of service. And you could even view it almost like, I never thought about it until just now. It's almost like alcoholism. In order to keep it, you have to give it away. That's kind of how I feel about my own sanity, honestly, with the issues that I've had to deal with through the years, mentally and emotionally, from the things that I've seen and the things that I've done. So this is my way of staying, I guess, level and sane in my own head. Because I've seen it. Guys are doing good until they aren't, and then they just go off the rails.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's always sitting there waiting for you. The insanity of, and usually, when it comes to PTSD and different things like that, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go out and get drunk. No, it gets down to either I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill somebody else, I'm going to do something like completely off the reservation.
Yeah.
And I've just made it a goal of mine to do anything I can to help other veterans or veterans causes that are doing great things for veterans whenever and however I can, based off of the skills that I have available to me.
Yeah. How many people do you know that time block to make sure they're doing something for charity every day?
He's the first one I've ever met.
I know. He's pretty on the outside and dynamic on the inside.
I do it every day.
It's just
I have
so
to.
amazing.
I have to. But it also builds me into other things where, I spend, like actually tonight I'm meeting up with some people, and tomorrow night as well. It's our way of sort of sitting down, and I associate with other individuals that have been through those things as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes they need, whether Kim has done it for me. There was one moment where I had a really bad breakdown, and she had called one of my friends. Next thing you know, there's 10 of them there. 10 combat vets. They all showed up, And it changed, it changed my life at that moment. And that's what I needed.
Yeah.
We need more of that,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I think one of the next big things that I really want to get into, I'm not even sure how to start, is, a lot of the homelessness and addictions and things that come from PTSD isn't just a combat thing. So I will start with that. Traumatic events in life, right? Some people are addicts or addicted to whatever it might be, but some people are just, they've been traumatized, whether it's through, crappy parents or violent abuse or, whatever it might be. I can't help or save everybody, but I can try to do what I know, which is veterans. And a lot of these veterans are homeless and addicted. And, I've been trying to help out with these other different charities that are standing up to address that and to get them in the treatment facilities. So one of the big ones that we try to help out every year is Mighty Oak Foundation. And we give them money. Actually, one of the guys that comes out to all of our events, he was a Marine in the Marine Corps, and he was actually on the news. He had an episode in a specific type of a restaurant, an Iraqi restaurant, and lost his mind. Absolutely lost his mind. Now, of course, if you looked or listened to the media at that time, they were demonizing this guy. And it's easy to demonize somebody when you've never experienced what they've experienced. This guy was a freaking war hero, but unfortunately, the war, he came home.
But he wasn't there.
But he wasn't home. Some people come home, but they still aren't home. So, we actually paid to get him into this facility. They took him in quickly. And we donate a lot of money to them, because what's great about Mighty Oak, if somebody has an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction or whatever it might be, in order to get into a facility, it takes time. It's very rare when it's like, right now, I'm having my moment right now, and I want to go somewhere right now. Usually you have to wait a month, 1 to 3 months. Mighty Oak, we gave a call, or not me, but one of the brothers in the organization that we're with, and same day, got him on a plane, sent him over there, got him treatment, and he actually that's where he works now. That's his full-time job after he got out of the Marine Corps. So we do a lot for them. We do a lot for a lot of organizations. Some of the organizations that we help raise money for, like one, Warrior Built Foundation, fantastic. They're actually sponsored by Monster Energy Drink. They're sponsored by Lucas Oil and a lot of places. You can come in with a master motorcycle mechanic, and he will help you work on your bike. You can come in and work on your cars. They have a mixing studio. They have daily therapy sessions where you can go in and group therapy or individual therapies. They have a whole lot of different things there, and it's for combat vets. So and it's not just the stuff you're doing, it's being around other people that get it. Yeah. And that's the hardest part for a lot of people that have, been in warfare. When you come home and you're hanging out at wherever people hang out, right? And you start to have a conversation, you feel so alone. You feel empty and alone. That's the hardest part. And the first thing is to get around other people that can relate, understand, and appreciate. And when you have that bad moment, it's going to happen, you have somebody that you can lean on, and vice versa. So that's where I spend most of my time for charity, is raising money or awareness or whatever else for vets causes.
And then the other thing he does is he's a real estate guru.
Yeah.
So not only does he teach the real estate community how to do real estate and expose them to all the different dynamics, leaders, and different platforms and information, he also just brings communities together.
Yeah.
The part where he's just alive and awake every single day, he does more in one day than I think I've done in 2 years. And so I don't know how you do it, but boy, I sure admire it.
Passion.
It is passion, isn't it?
Passion.
Yeah.
So okay, I take it back. That's not true. Passion is a byproduct of my obsession.
Yes.
So like what you were talking about, the Real Estate Blitz. I'm very passionate about this. Going back to the story I talked about, the guy saying my shoe game was weak. The majority of real estate agents are horrible. They are undereducated.
Ouch.
These are truths.
It's so true.
The majority of real estate agents are undereducated. Outside of when they took their test, they have done no follow-on training other than to show up 2 or 3, 4 years later to sit in a career compass class.
Yep.
They've done nothing. Yep. They've done nothing to improve their situation or even personally change the way that they think or who they physically are, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. So majority of real estate agents suck. They're undereducated, they're greedy, overpaid. I mean, when I look at what a lot of agents do, so you're going to charge this person 3%. They're going to pay you to do this specific service, and you're literally going to just get photos. You're going to provide no service. This client is going to sit there and wonder what the hell's going on with their house because you haven't called them in the last 2 months. Like, that is garbage. And then you wonder why, oh, well, Purple Brick is crap. You provide nothing. You suck as an agent and you provide freaking nothing, which if the majority suck, we're allowing opportunity for Purple Brick to come in, for Zillow to come in, for Redfin to come in, I could keep going. They're coming in to disrupt the market because there is a need, because the majority of real estate agents are horrible. Mm-hmm. So I started the Real Estate Blitz because I got pissed off. And I wanted to start putting content information. So I said, what are the deficiencies? A majority of sucky real estate agents, new real estate agents as well, they can't afford to get coaching because coaching ain't cheap. And here's the thing, the coaching, in my opinion, depending on the coach, and it's on the YouTube channel. You can listen to which ones. And I've had some of these like different programs and stuff actually call me and they're pissed. Oh, I can't believe you said that. Well, okay, I'll tell you how it sucked. I'll even tell you who sucked, and I'll tell you how it screwed up. And then next thing you know, I won't talk anymore after I start saying stuff because it's true. So the way I got on there to literally start creating content information for the people that can't afford coaching to at least give them a direction based off of what I know. I'm not a guru. And I get very worked up about that idea. I'm not a guru. I'm not a coach. I'm not selling anything. I'm not a guru. I'm just trying to pass along what I've learned that I know works for me in this market. That's it. Mm-hmm. If it makes good sense for you and it helps you change the way that you think, or at least gets you down the path to adjust the way that you think so you can seek other information, great. Just stop being a crappy real estate agent. That's all I want. So that's why I started the Real Estate Blitz. It turns out YouTube pays me for it now. Never thought that would happen. I get checks every month, for doing videos on YouTube.
That's awesome.
But you also interview really fun people like in the community and...
It is. It's fun. Yeah. And I was teaching at my house. I was teaching a social media class. I had I don't know, like 10 agents show up. And when we were doing this social media class, I says, hey, so I could show you, Google Kris McCullough. Let's just look at stuff. And I even did it. I'm looking like, why are there Inman articles about me? It was the weirdest freaking thing. Like, and they had pulled in different places. They had pulled videos of mine off of YouTube and like embedded it into this thing and wrote a whole damn article around it. It was the weirdest freaking thing. Yeah. Didn't even know it was out there. It's starting to become like my new little fascination. I'm like, well, what else is on me out there?
I'm kind of a big deal.
I think it's less about being a big deal and just that nobody talks about it. So when you look at the quality content, the stuff that so it's like the Red Book, it's the best. It's really not. How many holes are in the Red Book? Now, granted, there's a lot of great information in there. I would say I've read that book 5 different times. Every time I've read it, based off of what I learned within that stretch, it's a new book. It's basically a brand new book. But there are so many things missing. All of the details and the step-by-steps and the things that you actually need to do. Great. I feel excited. I'm pumped. I'm going to go out and do this. How? It almost reminds me of the South Park episode. Okay, so first we steal underwear. Then money. Like, okay, so where's the, like, what do you do? How do you make the money off of getting the underwear? What do we do next? Yeah, so it's figuring out that in-between widget. And that's what I wanted the Real Estate Blitz to be. I wanted it to be the in-between thing that backfills the things that nobody's freaking talking about. And again, that's probably one of the most popular real estate books for the average agent. Now, there's some great books that are for above average agents. It's funny because Lisa Force and I had talked about it. She showed me hers. There's this one specific book, and it's just ripped apart. I mean, she tore that thing up. It's a wonderful book. And what's funny, that guy found me on YouTube and sent me a signed book.
Nice.
Yeah, and
that? What book?
Chris Waters, man. If you haven't read Christopher Waters' book, it's the $1 Million Real Estate Team. If you see Lisa Force, ask her about it. She'll show you. She has torn that book apart. Like, she's read it so many times. Wonderful book. But even within that book, it's missing the in between. It gets you pumped up, gets you excited, gives you a direction. Yeah. But it leaves out, like, I want somebody to say, look, if you're gonna do sphere of influence, first things first, let's just start with your cell phone. Open your cell phone. How many people do you have in your cell phone? Yeah. Now that you see, okay, I have 500. You have 500 people on your cell phone. Take that. How many people are in California? Okay, note that. How many people used to live in California but don't live here anymore? How many people are in a completely different state, have never lived in California? How many people do you not know? Good, let's break that out. Now put all those people into your CRM. And now we're going to go after first, because your closest is going to be California. I'm a licensed California real estate agent. We're going to start our process working and going after them through this type of marketing. So here's the script. on what you're going to do in order to create an icebreaker and have genuine conversations so you can start working that area of your sphere of influence. Next, we're going to go after people that used to live in California because now they're going to give you referrals. So, like, explain it. They're going to give you referrals that you can get because here's the thing. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I just joined this team, Kim Steele & Associates. They're absolutely fantastic. If you didn't know, we actually help people buy and sell homes all over the country. Great. So now we're going to start building in the referral network. Plus, they know people that are still in California. So you could still work with buyers and sellers in California as a referral from this person that's over here. So just literally break it down. And there's no book out there that does that.
That's his gift. Have you ever seen him teach? He writes on the glass in the conference room and he makes lists. And it's the best. And that's what they need. They need a step-by-step, this is how you do it.
Should be systematic.
Yes. And creating those systems is just really important.
Well, I think not just the systems and systematic. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where, so again, going back to time blocking, I'm a huge believer of time blocking. One of the biggest reasons why I believe in time blocking, I see it all the time. Well, I'm good at multitasking. You're lying to yourself. Cut it out.
Yeah.
You are not good. Nobody is good at multitasking.
Yeah.
Okay? I know right now for the next 30 minutes, I am doing social media posts. That's all you're going to do. If I have a step-by-step guide on what I need to do, or I have a create marketing plan for the month, I know exactly what I'm posting, when I'm posting it, how much content I need to put out, and when it's going to drop. Then you can be singularly focused and literally push it to its max, as opposed to lying to yourself and trying to do everything. It's stupid. You'll get more done in a short amount of time.
You're uploading a video and then you're trying to write a contract and
That's goofy.
your email and but I'm doing lots of stuff.
But literally, the thing that usually takes you an hour to do social media, you can get it done probably in 15 minutes if you just highly focused just on social media. You know, and then again, going with the list, what's actually created. This is your step-by-step list. This is exactly what you have to do. Don't veer from it unless it's something that you're building in. Then you adjust it.
Gosh.
Then move to the next thing.
Yeah, keep your calendar.
He's totally speaking D to you right now, huh?
Well, you know what it is? It's that I understand exactly what he's saying because I desperately say it to people. Create a calendar, time block. You get your systems in place and know what to do next. And it confirms everything. You know, he's a genius, and he makes me think I do some things right. And so, like, he gives me a little bit of confirmation. Okay, so I have some quick questions. Favorite football team?
None.
None? Favorite hockey team? Basketball team? Favorite church?
I'll watch sports on occasion, but to me, I view it as it's just a waste of my time.
How about favorite board game?
Let me rephrase. Okay, so when it comes to professional sports teams, I actually, so I'll just be very blunt. I get mad about it. I get like it's visceral for me. No, I'm never going to say, oh, I'm a fan of what until they start freaking paying me. When that team sends me a check and like, man, you've been a raving fan and we're proud of you. Like, I'm the freaking commodity, not the team. Screw them. Like, you pay me, I'll throw on the jersey all day.
This is why he has great affiliate partnerships.
I'm serious, man. Like, you send me a jersey at least. Give me a hug. You know, until you do that, I have no interest.
Okay, favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite food?
Anything mostly southern. Gumbo.
Gazelle gumbo?
I have never had gazelle gumbo, but I do like gumbo. Love gumbo.
Favorite thing to cook?
Italian. Anything Italian. Yeah.
Favorite thing to do with the boys?
My favorite thing to do with the boys is probably the first thing in the morning is when they come in at about, because I'm usually working at 5. They come in at about 4:30 and we lay there and we cuddle.
Aww.
And I just hug them. I hug them both and they sleep on either side. I wait until they fall back asleep, then I get up and I go work.
Aww.
They do it every morning. Like it's like clockwork now.
Aww.
It's my favorite thing to do. Or my second favorite thing to do is they will come down. I wake them. I actually wake up both of my kids early so I can spend more time with them. I make them wake up, and plus it goes to bed earlier. I make them wake up early, and while I'm working, they sit in front of the fire and they actually work. Devin usually is reading, and then Mattis, he's in this first grade book. He's in kindergarten, but he likes learning to write and all that other stuff. So it's kind of our way. And Devin he has to-do lists, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing as a dad, but I usually do in the morning. I'm doing my morning critical listening. I'm knocking down my to-do list and getting prepared for the day. So Devin creates his to-do list for the day, and he's usually reading.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You're such a good dad.
Well done.
I'm
good for you. Where do you want to be in 5 years?
I'm very clear on where I want to be in 5 years. In 5 years, I would like to have probably 40 to 50 people on the team, a specific amount of income, but a majority of it is residual or passive. But I really want to be spending my full time and energy on being a full-time investor and almost going and becoming a full-time personal trainer for the team. So I really work with the agents, but almost like a military structure. I work with 4 or 5 agents on the total team, and I am their personal trainer, and then they are the personal trainers for the people within their little squads or fire teams.
That's awesome.
But I want to be able to accomplish more with less energy so I can actually do more.
Yeah.
And then in 5 years, I want to get to a point where I don't need to work. I'm working, same as my dad told me. I have so much money that I don't need to. I just love doing this, and I can't see myself doing anything else. So I'm planning on, you know, a majority of our profits where we're doing. I want to donate. I want to be a philanthropist. I want to get to that point to where we're making so much passive income.
Yeah.
Our stability is so good that I'm able to really help more people that really need it.
Best advice you would give an investor?
New or old?
New.
New investor. Get into investor groups, investor meetings, investor associations. Go every freaking month. You're going to meet the real deal people, not something that you heard over a freaking podcast. Don't go to the meetup groups. It's a hustle. Meetup groups are usually a hustle. They're trying to either get money that you might have and say it's going to be private money. There are people that aren't producing, which is no different than how I feel about mentorship with real estate agents.
Yeah.
If you're talking to somebody that's a non-producer, it's like the blind leading the freaking blind.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you need to be doing this. And I actually watched this happen once in exchange of information. Are you doing that? Well, no. How many deals have you done this year? None? Why are you listening to that guy?
Yeah.
Why are you even talking to them?
Yeah.
Don't go to meetup groups. Go to the associations and learn. Humble yourself. Tell people exactly why you're there. And sure enough,
Yeah.
the odds are somebody will help you.
Favorite car?
A Lincoln 70, 71, 72 Lincoln Continental.
Favorite weapon?
Ooh, I really like knives. However, if I was going to say gun, Benelli. I love my Benellis on shotgun. If it was a pistol, I'd have to go with probably, I love my Glock 36. I'm a big fan. Glock 19s are good too. Glocks are good in general. And then if it was a rifle, the new frickin' Henry, if you guys haven't seen it with the suppressor, I'm buying one. So, yeah.
Your biggest influence in your life?
Biggest influence in my life is probably going to be Michael Quarles. If you don't know who he is, he's an investor. He's been my mentor for a lot of years, and I look up to him like a father figure in real estate in general. So probably him and my dad.
Oh,
Yeah, him and my dad are probably my biggest influence.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
If you could say what the legacy is that you want to leave this planet, what would that look like?
I don't care.
That's awesome.
No, honestly, I mean, I don't. This is such a blip in time.
Yeah.
It's great to think that we can leave a legacy. I don't see myself ever being the person that they build a library for. It's possible, but that's not my intent. It never has been, and I have no intentions of ever chasing that. My children will remember me. My grandchildren, maybe, depending on how long I live. After that, it just kind of fades off. I don't care. When I'm gone, I'm with God, and we'll deal with it from there.
Oh,
That's good enough for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're a man of service, and it's really fun to watch.
Thanks.
It
Well,
really is.
I was really excited for the show because we've crossed paths like a couple times,
Mhm.
but you know, something's beautiful about the studio where you get to sit across from somebody for 45 minutes and just get inside their heads and understand their backstory and stuff like that. And you, sir, certainly did not disappoint whatsoever.
Cool.
You have a brilliant mindset. It's one of the most intense, organized, driven ones that I've ever encountered. So it's fascinating. So from a
Yeah.
psychology point of view, it's pretty interesting.
Well,
Well-
I think he changes the people that he talks to.
Yeah.
Every time you have a conversation with Kris McCullough, you walk away smarter, and he's given you something that you can take away.
Well, the
There's no
intensity that
waste
is
of anything.
delivered with
Yeah.
is fascinating.
I think it's
Obsession.
sincerity.
Yeah,
Obsession.
obsession.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's
You've said that a few
obsession.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling
Yeah.
you, to me, everything else is a byproduct of that. I'm obsessed with
Yeah.
real estate. I'm obsessed with living. I'm obsessed with my family. I'm obsessed with our team. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm really obsessed with our team.
Yeah.
I want everything. I do not want balance. but it's just because most people, when they hear the word balance, life balance, their mindset is stuck on something that has been conditioned for them. You can't have life balance without being balanced. I want to be obsessed. Otherwise, why bother? Well, I'm just doing it because I have to. I don't want to ever live that way. I've lived that. I lived that 20 plus years in the Marine Corps. I did certain things because I just had to.
Do you still make your bed?
No. Actually, I don't. There's certain things. So, okay, so I don't go camping.
What's going on with this long hair?
Yeah. I don't go camping. So, and Kim will tell you, there's like really weird quirks because of the Marine Corps. If I have to, I will. Otherwise, like last time we were supposed to go camping for a week, and I got an Airbnb. I was like, y'all can stay out here. I actually had an Uber pick me up in the middle of the forest. We were in the middle of a freaking forest out in Prescott, Arizona. I had the Uber come pick me up, and I got a burrito on the way back, and I hung out in Airbnb and took a shower. There's just showers. It sounds goofy.
No, it doesn't.
But if you've ever gone multiple times, going multiple months at any given time without something as simple as a shower, to this day I took a really nice shower this morning. I'm even getting emotional about it. It brings a lot of joy to me. Those little things, eating. Yeah. Certain foods, like, I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on certain things like that. It's just, I will not sacrifice anymore in certain areas. And one of them's not making my bed. I'm not going to make my bed. I won't do it. I just won't do
The
it.
simplicity and the elegance that you live your life with, I really admire.
Thanks.
Sorry, you were making me cry.
And with that said, any final thoughts, Susan?
I absolutely have lots of final thoughts. Kris, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing here. Thank you for being the leader that you are and an inspiration and showing them step by step everybody how to do this and leading by example. Thank
Wouldn't
you
be
for
here
the
without you.
sincerity and thank you for the obsession and rubbing that off on me. Because now when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
I wouldn't be here at Signature without you. You are the keystone, in my opinion. I try to give as much as I can to the brokerage, not because I have to, because I don't. I don't have to give anything to the brokerage other than, a split, and it's not even that much. It's like nothing. So I give, even when I look at how I'm building or how we are building a team, the success of that team, in my opinion, is a reflection of what you've created. So that's important for me. So, just saying.
Thank you for that. Yeah. But I thank you and I give you all the credit. So I hope I'm around watching this in 5 years. And thank you for the piece of the tapestry of my life and the journey I'm in that you are of mine. Thank you. Thank
Final
you,
thoughts,
Kris.
Do great things. I mean, stop whining. I'm telling you, man, everybody wants to complain. Stop complaining. Just shut up. Put your head down, embrace the suck, and freaking march on.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Gosh.
Well, final thoughts for myself. Like I just said, you have a fascinating mindset, and I could see why you're so successful, and I could see why Kim was raving about you. You guys are a dynamic duo.
Good kisser too.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. I heard that once.
It was weird though. Actually, I was sitting here, I'm looking at him in the eyes, and it could have gotten weird. It's like, and I'm a good kisser too. It was like that. I didn't even think about, but like that moment, like we were here.
We were locked.
Yeah, we were locked in. So let me avert here for.
You have a fascinating mindset. You're creating a ripple effect, and I think that's what's beautiful about all of our stories coming through this brokerage. And it starts with you, Susan. Like he just said, you are the keystone. You've changed my life. You've changed their life, and they're changing so many lives. So thank you for being under the spotlight tonight.
Cool.
And,
appreciate it.
You're awesome, man.
Right on.
Thank you, Kris.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode of the Signature Studio Spotlight Series with John Butler, the ball guy in the red tie, Miss Susan Ebert, and Kris McCullough, saying thank you, good night, see you in escrow, bye.
Bye.
Bye.